All right. Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great day and life is good. I tell you what, I woke up this morning. I had a plan. I had my 5 meetings set up. I had notes taken from the night before exactly how I was going to tackle the meetings. I was prepared. I get a call from the president of Integrated Signs at 10 a.m. It says, you need to come down here and you need to fire this employee. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What's going on? New sales rep. He's been with us for about 60 days. He decided to come in scruffy. Didn't bother to shave. His shirt looked like he slept in it. He was dropping F-bombs and yelling and throwing paper around. It just was completely out of his mind. And as far as I'm concerned, not conducting himself in a manner of what person that would represent the sign company. Went down there, had to let him go, clean them all up, clean his computer up. And then of all things, we had a cell phone from another sales rep that we had given to him and said, hey, this phone rings a lot with clients. Make sure you're answering it. It's like liquid money just coming through. Every time the phone rings, it's money. I said, I need the cell phone back today. He goes into the drawer. I'm not kidding you. He goes into the drawer, opens up the drawer, finds the cell phone and goes, here you go. And I'm like, why is this not on? Why are you not carrying? He goes, well, I don't need a cell phone. What do you mean you don't need a cell phone? The company's cell phone, the one where the clients call to get signs. You were responsible for that cell phone and that cell phone number. I tell you what, I'd already fired him. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to hire him again just so I can fire him again. The level of incompetence just mind-boggling. Kills me. Sorry, had to get off my chest. I did. I had to get off my chest. So if you ever have a problem with your employees, trust me, we got them. Everybody's got them. It just is what it is. All right. I feel better. I got that off my chest. Thank you very much for listening. All right. So here we go. I'm going to talk about something that I thought was a very amazing report that I really wanted to have. And it took me years to get to this report. And so it's nothing more than a click of a button. The labor analysis report. This is an important report that every company should be doing. If you're not running Square Coil, it's going to take you some time to build this report and it's still worth your time. If you are running Square Coil, just click on reports, go down to accounting, labor analysis report and click on it. We're going to talk about this. So in order to have the labor analysis report be accurate, you need to have an estimate of what you thought it was going to take to build these projects for the entire month. 50, 60, 80 projects are going to go through your shop in a month, maybe more. And you're going to see all the estimated hours that you thought it was going to take to complete these, we're going to say 50 projects. Then you're going to need time cards, and you're going to need to have the time cards for all those employees and what's going on and what they did, regular time, overtime. You're going to have to then take that and point that to the estimates. Excel spreadsheet works just fine, good old Excel. And you're going to say, estimated was 5 hours for this department. We did it in 7. Estimate for the next department was 8. We did it in 4. And you got to compartmentalize each department based on the hours of estimated versus actual. Now that you've done that, and remember, overtime is 1.5 hours. Don't forget that. So they worked an hour of overtime. You got to put 1.5 down versus 1 inside of each one of those Excels for each project. So you have your department hours listed across the top on a column as columns, yep. And then you have your rows for each project. Estimated actual, estimated actual, estimated actual. And then, and then at the difference, the third column for each, or the third row for each one. Now, what I get to see is how did each department do for the 50 projects they were given? And down at the bottom, I want a total. So let's say the paint department, I gave them 230 hours to complete, and that took them 220 hours. For the 50 projects, they were under budget by 10 hours. This report is absolutely amazing. You need to have this. If you're not around Square Coil, take the time to build this report for you because this is what it's going to show you. Remember, it takes 2 ways to make money. There's only 2 ways to make money. Number 1, ask for more money up front for your goods, services, or whatever, or cut your costs on the back end. Now, I can only ask so much because we are still in a segmented industry and anybody can say, screw you, boss. I don't want to work here anymore. Go buy a plotter. And now he's a sign company and I got to compete with him on some level or another. So we're still a very fragmented, segmented industry. We don't want to admit that, but it's very, very true. The line or there's a technical term and I forget how to say it, but the order to get into this industry is super low. There's no barrier to entry. There you go. There's the word, barrier to entry. There's really no barrier to entry. You go buy a plotter for $9,000. Heck, you can even finance it and you're off to the races. So what we have to do is we have to find the top threshold of what our society and industry can charge for it. So set of channel letters, if most people are charging $4, you can get away with $4.5. Great, awesome, $4,500 for a set of letters. Super happy. But now, for your company to make more profit than everybody else, you need to cut your costs. Am I saying cut quality? Absolutely not. I would say a good 30% to 50% of Two Rodeo Drive comes from my shop and integrated signs. We have quality up here. I don't scrimp on anything. I want to make sure that client has a beautiful sign in 15, 20 years. They still come in that beautiful sign and it's still there. I am not talking about cutting quality. I'm talking about your costs. And this labor analysis report is the key, is the window to how well you guys are doing. So let's go ahead and let's take a couple examples here. So let's talk March or April of 2015. I'm going to go back quite a ways. We're talking 7, 8 years. I had a painter and he was always under budget for the month by 10 to 15 hours. Would beat it by 15 minutes, beat it by 20 minutes. Sometimes you go over by 2 hours, but as consistency, he was under budget. Great. Loved it. Awesome. No problems there. I don't need to attack this department right now.
I want to take a moment to talk about true champions that are helping the industry out, and that's Wendy Graves. You guys have all known her for Women in Sign. She's been pushing that for quite some time, but she's also made a new alliance to help the industry out, and that's with Make It Happen Signage Academy here. I don't want to get this wrong here, so I'm going to read right from this, www.signage-academy/MIH-glance. That's the information. We're going to go ahead and put it at the bottom of the show notes here and on this clip so you guys can click on it. She's going to be working with the Make It Happen Signage Academy for the Illuminated Signage Bootcamp, what's on the front lines, teaching project managers, sales, and everything in between. So definitely sign up for those things. Wendy's been doing some great work, so you definitely want to support her, and you're going to learn a lot.
And all of a sudden, February came through and he was 20 hours over for the whole month. Like, that was really weird. Then March came, or if you're paying attention, April. Can't remember what month I just said. So April comes across and he's now 30 hours over budget. This guy has been consistently 10 hours under and now he's 20 to 30 hours over for the last 2 months. Something's wrong. I don't get it. Now, as an owner, as a manager, you guys know there's 1,000 different ways that you can attack this, and there's 1,000 different reasons why he's over budget. Mom could have passed away. Family's sick. He's sick. Financial issues for one reason or another, medical problems, all these outside influences, that does take a toll on the man as he's working inside your 4 walls. Maybe very difficult projects that we underbid a whole bunch. Maybe the estimate was wrong. Maybe he just got slower. Maybe he doesn't feel appreciated anymore and he just doesn't put that drive and energy anymore. There's so many different avenues. You have to now go on a fact-finding mission. So I went back and I talked to him and I said, hey, what's going on here? You're over budget. What's happening? And I'll never forget, he was very sheepish. He kind of puts his head down and he goes, sir, I broke one of your paint guns. You have 2 nice paint guns that you gave me. It's easy to swap from one color to another color. I broke the paint gun. I dropped it. I broke it. I've been trying to save up to buy another paint gun because I feel it's my responsibility since I broke the gun. Now, if you've been following along and you are an owner of a sign company, you already know the dilemma here. He has cost us $3,000 to $5,000 over a $250 paint gun. All you had to do the day of is say, I broke it, I'm sorry, I dropped it, and say, we understand, here's a new paint gun, continue on with your day. But instead, he was trying to cover it up, he was trying to salvage it, he was trying to do something, but it took him months to save up the money for whatever reason or another. I'm not going to get into that part of the scenario, but he was losing hours and costing us way more money for his projects because he had to work with one paint gun. This labor analysis report that I just talked about uncovered this flaw. But the other thing that, if I didn't have that, if I didn't take the time to do that report, how many months do you think he would have gone on? How much time would we have lost? 4 months? $7,000? $10,000? How much was my company bleeding if I didn't know about this report? How much is your company bleeding right now if you're not looking at a report similar to this? It's amazing what it uncovers. But this was the other side of the coin. I started to look at every department as its own company. So what I was doing is the final department was its own company. The paint department was its own company. Metal department, its own company. And I would say, okay, what do you need to beat these estimates big time? Like, what machinery could I bring in here for them? Say, oh, we could use another welder. We only have one 220 plug. And we have two 220 plugs. All these little things that sound silly, but we all have these problems. And I slowly checked every box that they needed. And vinyl department, what do you guys need? Well, technically, we could use a second plotter. One for paper patterns, one for cutting vinyl. Not a problem. How are you storing the vinyl? Well, we could have a better system. Okay, let's store the vinyl differently. And so I started attacking every single department differently. I will tell you that at the end of the 3.5-year journey, I raised our revenue per employee up by $50,000. And I had 28 employees. That's how much more revenue per employee I was able to get out the back door without any changes to my personnel. It's a big number. That's a huge number. 27 times 50,000. I'll wait. You can get it on your calculator. Big number. 100%. One big number. And it was because I took the time to see how they were working, how can we get them better, and just focus on them and their department. A labor analysis report each month shows me exactly how each department's doing. What's going on? And man, can you see, if you're dialed into this report, you can see when somebody went on vacation. You can see when we had a hard project go through. All the numbers change from what they're used to seeing. That bell-shaped curve changes. And so the labor analysis report is an overlooked report. In my opinion, I think everybody should swear by it once a month, once all the projects are closed. So let's see, we're in May right now. April, I got everything closed in April on April 12th. So April 13th would be the first time that I click on the labor analysis report and see all the closed jobs for, May 12th is when we closed April. So on May 13th, I was able to see all of April. I clicked on it, see all the jobs that were closed in labor analysis report. Beautiful with square coil, one click of a button, 2 seconds later, here's my whole report. And now I got to spend the time to look at every single department what's going on. And I take it out and I show the guys, hey, you were over by 7 hours. What happened here? They go, oh yeah, we cut this, or sorry, the estimate was, we did our best, but the estimate was too slow or too small. Okay, estimate's too small. Got it, not a problem. An estimate is nothing more than an educated guess. We know that we're guessing when we do the estimate. We're doing the best we can to give them enough time to do it, but sometimes we screw up. Not a problem. Acceptable answer. And also now I have feedback. I have a revolving loop of information. So what happens is my estimator each month pulls all the reports and looks at them and says, well, I was under here. Oh, wow, I was way over here and here. And he starts to dial it in. My estimator's job is to not gouge the client. My estimator's job is to not cut my workers off at the knees, just make a fair estimate for what it takes. It's a salesperson's job to go for the jugular and make more money if you can, or pare back and hardly make any money, but at least we got the work in the shop and we got economies of scale. But that's a salesman's job. The estimator's job is to just make a fair estimate. So this revolving feedback loop that we get from the time cards, the materials, and what's going on in the estimates on this labor analysis report is exactly what we're looking for. So I want to talk about that today, explain to you what this report is. Even if you're not running square coil, you should be building this report, because if you look at your estimated hours and you look at your actual hours and you put them together and find the difference and then see how that department did for all of the projects, you're going to really get a good feel for which department is doing well and which department isn't. Another way to say it is, what if you took all the hours and said, it's going to take my shop 50 hours to do this project? What if the metal department goes over by 8 hours and the install department beats it by 10 hours? And when you're done, you just go, oh, we're under by 2 hours. That's not really the case. The install saved the day. The metal department was way over. Do you know that in your shop? I do. And that's because of a simple little button. But it took us years to build that. We need time cards. We need accurate estimates. We need to know how much labor it takes. And then we need materials used. There's a whole bunch of components throughout this whole process of a sign to get us to this actual number. But man, when you can get these numbers, you can make miracles happen in your sign shop. I've seen it firsthand multiple times. So that's the labor analysis report. That's what I call it. I'm sure there's different names for it in your vocabulary. That's all for it. If you guys are using this style of report, love to hear what you guys are pulling from it. Love to hear which departments were doing well and you didn't think so, or vice versa. It's all good stuff. This is the AC method.